Number 10. Kissing in public. In 2017, at a restaurant in Santa Monica, California, a woman had a meltdown. Her name is Anna Storelli, and she melted down because of a perfectly innocent kiss on the head. You see, a couple in the restaurant happened to be doing a little bit of cuddling. The man had his arms around the girl from behind, and he gave her a kiss on the head. Not her mouth, the top of her head. This was as far as the public display of affection went. Anna saw what was happening and was so angry that she started screaming in the middle of the busy restaurant. She told the couple to get a room, told them people are trying to eat, and insisted that they know how uncomfortable their affection made her feel. It was at about that time when Anna went completely off the rails and started swearing at the girl. She called her ugly and all kinds of other nasty names. Anna then threatened to call the police on them for doing prostitution in public, and in the end, she demanded the restaurant refund her meal because she was so upset. As it turned out, Anna is actually a cam girl. After her outburst went viral, people were quick to identify her as an adult entertainer who uploads risque videos of herself for cash. Number 9. Spitting on a plane. Valerie Gonzalez was extremely drunk when she got kicked off a plane in 2019. The 32-year-old woman got on board a JetBlue flight going from Fort Lauderdale to Las Vegas. The trip from Florida to Nevada should have been a quick couple of hours, but Valerie was not about to simply sit down and mind her own business. As soon as she realized she had been placed next to a small child on the plane, she burst into a hot fit of rage. She refused to sit next to a 3-year-old because, in her own words, she had been drinking all day. Valerie got out of her seat, found an empty seat somewhere else, and sat in it, but she didn't like the new seat either. The people who were sitting in front of her weren't up to Valerie's satisfaction, and so she started screaming and swearing as loud as she could. She screamed herself straight into a temper tantrum, which then escalated into a rampage when she realized the people on the plane were filming her. And that was when she started hissing and spitting at people. Before long, the cabin crew asked Valerie if she could please get off the airplane. But since she kept making a scene, security had to come and put her in a wheelchair. She was then rolled out of the terminal and taken to North Broward Bureau Jail and charged with battery for her poor behavior and spitting on people. Number 8. Bowling ball meltdown. Atlanta police recently identified a man who had a meltdown at a bowling alley and beat someone to death over a bowling ball. His name is Joshua Fleetwood, and he was 25 years old in 2022 when he committed murder. It all went down at a place called Metro Fun Center in southwest Atlanta, but the center was anything but fun that night when Joshua Fleetwood got into an argument with 31-year-old Lakivia Jackson. Lakivia was at the bowling alley to celebrate a friend's birthday. Not just anyone's birthday, her best friend's special day. Everyone was just bowling and having fun. And then came the argument. The two parties were bowling on adjacent lanes, meaning they were right beside each other the whole night. One person wanted to use the bowling ball, the other side said it was their ball, and things got heated very quickly. Joshua became so furious that he got a gun from his car and started blasting. He wasn't just trying to shoot Lakivia, but all of her friends too. She just so happened to be the only one that got hit, and she died from her injuries. Joshua has since been charged with felony murder and will likely be spending the rest of his life in jail. Number 7. Wendy's meltdown. A woman from Lehigh Acres was caught on video having a meltdown at a Wendy's. It happened on a Thursday night in June of 2022, involving a woman named Shamia Tillman. According to the police investigators, Shamia initially went through the drive-thru to get her food. She wasn't happy with her order, so she went inside to complain. But once she got inside, she had a meltdown and started throwing her food and drink, screaming at employees and attacking them physically. When the employees tried to calm her down, she started biting at them like a zombie. She bit the finger of one of the female employees so hard that it broke the skin. Then came a DoorDash delivery driver who thought he could handle the situation. He got between Shamia and the employees and and tried to settle things down, but Shamia slapped him across the face. Then she ripped the iPhone out of his hand and threw it so that it bounced off an employee's head. Even when the cops showed up, Shamia just couldn't be calmed down. She kicked and screamed all the way into the back seat of the squad car. And when the deputy tried to speak with her, she spat in his face. Shamia's dissatisfaction with her Wendy's meal landed her in the Lee County Jail. Number 6. Candy Bar Meltdown. Angela Robinson worked at the Rosemont Pantry in Charleston back in May of 2017. For those unfamiliar with the place, it's basically just a convenience store in South Carolina. The clerk had an insane meltdown on a bright Sunday afternoon and wound up in jail, brought up on a charge of attempted murder. It all went down because of some candy. The victim in this situation walked into the convenience store, purchased some candy, and then went back outside. Once he got outside, he realized that his candy had melted. It was useless, and he didn't even want it anymore. He went back into the Rosemont Pantry and suggested that Angela keep the candy in a cooler space so that it doesn't melt. In response, Angela attacked him. She beat him with a fan, chased him out of the store, and then got in her SUV and tried to run him over. When she missed, she jumped out of the vehicle, pulled a knife, and tried to stab the guy to death. All the victim had tried to do was get some candy from the store, and he wound up being chased by a deranged woman with a knife. Luckily, the victim lived to see another day. He received a cut to his arm and one stab wound on his leg and was treated for his injuries at Roper Hospital. Angela Robinson was taken to jail, and we still have no idea why she had such an abrupt and crazy meltdown over melted candy. Number 5. Calling the cops. A white woman in Houston was caught on video in 2020 accusing a man of threatening her. For the sake of fully understanding this meltdown, it's important to know the man was black and that he was also a US census worker for the government. His name is Isaac Perkins, and he was going door to door when the white woman approached him and said she was calling the cops. When he asked why, she said it was because he had no business being in her neighborhood or lurking around her neighbors' houses. When he asked if she was calling the police because he was black, she simply told him to leave and kept repeating that he didn't have any reason to be in her neighborhood. After a bit of back and forth, she really did call the police. The old woman in her rain boots on a perfectly sunny day said there was a black male acting obnoxious in the neighborhood and that he was threatening her. About 2 hours later, the cops showed up. They didn't do a thing. Isaac had to sit there being berated by an angry old lady on the side of the street all that time when he had just been trying to do his job. Number 4. Grocery Store Axe Maniac. A man with an axe had a public meltdown and destroyed a grocery store. He did it because the employees at the store refused to serve his wife when she refused to put on her mask. As you can probably guess, this happened during the height of the pandemic. But it wasn't in the US, but rather at a supermarket in the coastal city of Mariupol in Ukraine. The woman initially tried to make a purchase inside the supermarket without her mask on. The cashier refused to give her any kind of service, and they got into an argument. There was some Karen-style arguing going on, and then the woman left the store. She went to get her husband, who turned out to be an even bigger Karen than his wife. He went back to the store with an axe, and he hefted the weapon right onto the checkout counter. One of the employees hit the panic button, and then they all ran away while this guy destroyed 4 cash registers, smashed up the counters with his axe, and caused a total of about $4,000 in damages before running away. The axe-wielding lunatic may have gotten away with his meltdown too if he hadn't bragged about the attack later in a Facebook post. The post helped police track him down, and he was arrested and now faces up to 7 years in prison on a charge of hooliganism. Number 3. Emotional Support Pig. When a woman tried to take her emotional support pig for a walk in 2021, she found herself being accosted by a furious stranger who couldn't handle the size of the animal or the fact that it was going to the bathroom next to a tree on the side of the street. The emotional support pig is a pretty beefy animal. His name is Chorizo, and he appears to be several hundred pounds. He's definitely larger than an ordinary dog, and yet he does the same kinds of things a dog does. He walks down the sidewalk sniffing at stuff with his snout, and when he has to use the bathroom, he stops on some grass and does his business. Well, one especially cranky woman was not having any of it. This stranger came out of nowhere, walked straight up to the woman and her pig, and started screaming. She wanted to know why the woman had a pig in the middle of the park. And when the owner of the pig tried to explain that it was an emotional support animal, the crazy woman just kept on yelling. She tried to lecture the pet owner about living in a community where there are rules and bylaws, and she just would not leave the lady and her pig alone. She even said the pig was going to eat the landscape. In the end, after a painful amount of arguing, the Karen finally left. But still, her unnecessary meltdown in the public park had made an uncomfortable day for everyone. Number 2. Plane meltdown. In 2017, a man took his very first plane journey on a Red Wings flight from Moscow to Antalya. That's from Russia to Turkey. He had never been on a plane before and thought that drinking would help calm his nerves and make flying easier. What he didn't realize was that drinking only makes air travel worse, and he ended up tied like a hog and covered in blood. Everything started normally enough. The man had a couple of drinks and the flight was going smoothly. But then he got belligerently drunk, and that was when the cabin crew denied him any more alcohol. This threw him into a fit, and he started rampaging up and down the aisle, demanding booze. The man eventually sat in his seat, but he was already in a fit of mania. He punched the back of the seat in front of him and flailed so much he somehow bashed himself in the nose and caused blood to gush everywhere. By the time the other passengers finally managed to pin this guy down and tie him up with seatbelts, he was absolutely soaked in blood. To make things even more embarrassing for this guy, he was reportedly traveling with his wife and 2 kids. He ended up being detained in Turkey, and his wife and children flew back to Russia without him. Number 1. Victoria's Secret Karen. A Karen was spotted having a breakdown at a Victoria's Secret in summer of 2021 and then chasing a woman through the store as she cried and screamed. This newest Karen's name is Abigail Elphick, and she's a millennial white woman. She became enraged at the Victoria's Secret store in South Jersey and then attacked a Muslim woman from Nigeria named Gioma, who had just been trying to shop. The victim is Gioma Ukenta, and she was about to be slapped in the face by Abigail until she pulled her phone out and started recording. The minute the recording started, Abigail had a mental breakdown. She collapsed on the floor in front of the store counter, cried, screamed, and literally lay on the dirty floor like a toddler, having the hardest day of their life. Then, when police arrived to investigate the disturbance, they asked the victim to leave the store. The Karen claimed she had a panic attack when Gioma started filming her for no reason. After the incident, Gioma was so upset that she made a GoFundMe account to try and get enough money to take legal action against the police and the Karen, and she raised over $54,000. Thanks for watching. Would you rather be caught having a breakdown in public or get caught on the wrong side of a Karen in the middle of a meltdown? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to hit subscribe and come back soon for more awesome videos. See you next time.